Poco launched the most expected Poco F4 5G smartphone in India last week. The Poco F1 that was launched back in 2018 turned out as a value-for-money phone at that time, and it is still used by several fans. There was no Poco F2, and the Poco F3 was not launched in India last year. The Poco F4 has impressive specs including a Full HD plus 120Hz AMOLED display with Dolby Vision, Snapdragon 870 chipset, 64-megapixel camera with OIS and 67-watt fast charging. Is the phone worth the price? Let us dive into the review to find out. Starting with the display, the Poco F4 has a 6.67-inch Full HD plus AMOLED display with a pixel resolution of 2400 by 1080 pixels, 20:9 aspect ratio and a pixel density of about 395 ppi. The display is bright, thanks to typical 900 nits and 1300 nits peak brightness, which is enabled when you are watching HDR content. It has 100% DCI-P3 color gamut, so the colors are vibrant. The phone has a 120Hz refresh rate display, can switch between 30Hz, 60Hz, and 120Hz according to the content. It has 360Hz touch sampling rate. When enabled, it offers a buttery smooth user experience, especially when you are scrolling through the UI and when gaming. It also has HDR10 Plus support, which works for YouTube and Amazon Prime Video, and there is Dolby Vision, which works for Netflix. Under the display options, there are different options to adjust colors and contrast based on your preference. There is also a reading mode that lets you reduce the display's blue light emission so it doesn't cause eye strain when you are reading at night, but this will be disabled when you play HDR videos. There is dark mode, similar to other MIUI phones. You also get an option to enable dark mode to apps that are installed, but it doesn't look good on most apps. It also has AI HDR enhancement for videos and MEMC for smooth video playback. There is no DC dimming option. The phone comes with Corning Gorilla Glass 5 protection. The phone has an always-on display option, which can be enabled from display settings. This doesn't consume a lot of power since this is an AMOLED screen, but the company says that it increases the power consumption, so it turns off automatically when the phone stays dark for a long time or battery saver restrictions are applied. It also has Super Wallpaper or Live Wallpaper feature. The phone has a tiny 2.67mm punch hole that houses a 20-megapixel camera, which doesn't disturb when watching videos since it just occupies a small space. Above the display there is an earpiece on the top edge which also doubles up as a secondary speaker. The phone also has the usual set of proximity and ambient light sensors, as well as a gyroscope and a magnetic sensor. Coming to the button placements, the volume rockers and the power button that integrates the fingerprint sensor are present on the right side of the phone. There are also some gesture features in the power button that lets you double tap to perform actions or take a screenshot. The dual SIM slot, loudspeaker grill, primary microphone and USB Type-C port are present on the bottom. It doesn't have a microSD expansion slot. On the top there is a vent for speaker, secondary microphone and an infrared sensor. The back of the phone also has a glass finish which offers a smooth matte finish. The phone is just 7.7mm thick and weighs 195 grams since it has a huge screen and a glass back even though it packs a 4500 mAh battery. The phone has IP53 ratings for splash resistance, so it has mange slight spills or light rain, but you can't immerse in water. The camera UI is familiar with other Xiaomi or Poco smartphones running MIUI 12. You get all the features such as Pro, Night, 64-megapixel camera, short video, panorama, slow motion, time-lapse, dual video, AI watermark. You can also shoot in RAW and Pro mode and enable focus peaking, exposure verification and more options. Poco has enabled Camera 2 API by default, so you can sideload ported Google Camera APKs for advanced editing, including RAW capture. Coming to the image quality, daylight shots came out well with good dynamic range. After pixel binning technology, you get 16-megapixel output from all main camera. HDR shots are better with improved dynamic range. 8-megapixel wide-angle shots are decent, and the 2-megapixel macro camera is just average, so it is better to shoot close-up images in 2x. The 20-megapixel front camera is good, and you get full 20-megapixel output. Low-light camera performance is good from the main camera, but the ultra-wide low-light shots are just average. It can record videos at 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, and it also has slow-motion 1080p at up to 120 frames per second and 720p resolution video recording at up to 240 frames per second. There is also 960 frames per second option, which should be converted. You can also shoot 1080p, 30 frames per second videos using the ultra-wide and 720p with macro camera. OIS in the main camera does its job, and there is a separate ultra-steady mode that uses both OIS and EIS, but it switches to 1080p. It runs Android 12 out of the box, with MIUI 13 on top. It recently got June 2022 Android security patch recently. Poco did not say how many updates the phone will get, but we can expect at least 2 Android OS updates. MIUI 13 lets you uninstall several system apps. This has all the usual set of features such as gesture shortcut, one-handed mode, quick ball, and more. Since this has a curved screen, it has an option to ignore accidental touches. It has Poco Launcher 2.2 on top, and the company said that the phone will get Poco Launcher 4.0 update with several features soon. Since the phone has an infrared sensor for remote function, it comes with Mi Remote that lets you control your home appliances easily. Out of 12GB LPDDR5 RAM, you get 11.33GB of usable RAM, and about 5GB of RAM is free when default apps are running in the background. It also has up to 3GB of memory extension or virtual RAM, which you can disable from additional settings. Out of 256GB, you get about 224GB of free storage. It has UFS 3.1 storage, and we got sequential read speeds of 1588.5 megabytes per second. Apart from the usual set of utility apps, Google Apps, and Poco's own set of apps, it comes preloaded with Netflix, Amazon, Facebook, Zili, and Spotify apps. It also asks for additional app installation during setup, which you can skip. You can easily uninstall these apps, but these come up when you reset the phone. Even though there is personalized ads option during setup and recommendations in all the apps, you don't get any ads in apps. Even though the phone has an AMOLED screen, it has a side-mounted fingerprint sensor that quickly unlocks the phone. You can add up to 5 fingerprints. You can also use the fingerprint for app local and payments in apps. The phone also has Face Unlock, but it is not as secure as fingerprint since it can be unlocked with a photo. The Mi Music Player is the default music player with usual Poco audio effects and equalizer. It also doesn't have FM radio, but comes with Dolby Atmos, and the phone has stereo speakers that offer an excellent audio experience, and audio through earphones is good as well. It has Widevine L1 support, so you can play HD content on Netflix, Amazon Prime Video and other streaming apps without any issues. The phone also supports Dolby Vision for Netflix and HDR10 Plus for Amazon Prime Video. It supports 5G, and has support for 10 5G bands in India. It has 4G VoLTE for Reliance Jio, Airtel and other networks and support Dual for G VoLTE that offers 4G in both the SIM cards at a time. The phone supports carrier aggregation as well. Other connectivity options include dual-band Wi-Fi. It has VoWiFi, Wi-Fi calling support, Bluetooth 5.2 LE, GPS, GLONASS, Beidou and NFC. It also has USB OTG support that lets you connect USB drives. Call quality is good, and we did not face any call drops and the earpiece volume was loud. Poco F4 5G is powered by Snapdragon 870 chipset. The 6nm mobile platform that uses Qualcomm Cryo 585 CPUs. It has CPU up to 3.2 GHz. The Adreno 650 GPU offers a smooth gaming performance even in graphic-intensive games, and the phone doesn't get too hot even during long hours of gaming, thanks to vapor chamber and the liquid-cooled heat dissipation area that is over 400% better than the Poco F3, which greatly improves the heat dissipation efficiency. The phone gets a bit warm on intensive gaming, but it doesn't too hot. We did not face any issues or frame drops in the graphic-intensive games like COD, BGMI and Genshin Impact. It reached maximum 42 degrees in our testing indoors in Wi-Fi, but this might vary outdoors in 4G. Coming to the battery life, the phone packs a 4500 mAh built-in battery which might look small, but it lasts for a day even with heavy use on 4G. With minimal use on Wi-Fi, it should last for 2 days. I got close to 4.5 hours of screen on time with over a day of use on Wi-Fi and in 120 Hz. Since the phone has support for 67-watt fast charging, it can charge from 0 to 50% in about 13 minutes and up to 100% in about 38 minutes. At a starting price of 27,999 rupees, the Poco F4 5G is a value for money phone for multimedia and gaming. The rear camera is good in daylight and also has OIS, the phone has HDR screen with support for Dolby Atmos, and the phone doesn't miss out any other features such as NFC, Dolby Atmos, and more. After a long time, the value king from Poco is back. Now, let's talk about its price and availability. The Poco F4 5G is priced at 27,999 rupees for the 6GB plus 128GB, 29,999 rupees for the 8GB plus 128GB model, and the 12GB plus 256GB model costs 33,999 rupees. Poco also offers 2 years of warranty for the phone. The company also offers 2 months of free YouTube Premium. In addition, it offers 3,000 rupees off with SBI debit and credit cards and EMI. If you want to buy it, link is in the description. Now, let's talk about its pros. 1. 120 Hz AMOLED display with HDR10+, Dolby Vision is brilliant. 2. Smooth performance and good gaming performance. 3. It has stereo speakers and Dolby Atmos for better multimedia experience. 4. Good battery life with 67-watt fast charging. 5. Good camera with OIS. 6. IP53 water resistant. The Poco F4 is a good phone. Like Poco says, everything you need. The problem with this phone, however, is formidable competition. It all comes down to what your priorities are. Say, for example, if you value a clean Android experience, the Motorola Edge 30 and OnePlus Nord 2T are slightly better options. If you value camera performance more than everything else, there is the Vivo V23 for you. And if performance and great battery life are your priorities, then I wholly recommend the Poco F4 5G. Even otherwise, it is a good all-rounder. If you do end up getting it under 30,000 rupees, it will not disappoint you. It is just that it plays in a space where similarly good phones, with their own pros and cons, exist. That's all for today's video related to full in-depth review of Poco F4 5G. So, if you found my video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel Digitech Tools for infotainment tech videos. Till then, keep supporting.